Oregon Embassy Suites Hotel at the airport, and I'm April Avery, the host for the 18th Logan and Ellen Davis family reunion. 36 years, and now we finally made it to Portland, Oregon. I just want to tell you I'm almost ready for the banquet tonight. Welcome everybody, and those who aren't here, we miss you, God bless you, we love you. See you next time. Bye.
It could have been both. That was it both of them.
Hello, everybody! Let's get it on!
We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
All right. Okay, everybody. May I have your attention, please? My name is Linda from Mississippi, New Doors, from Mississippi, Parrot, from wherever, Drags. I come from the line of Willie Ellen Davis, her daughter, Eunice Parrott. I am the first of Eunice Parrott's daughters. She has one more. All right, my job now is to introduce our hostess with the mostest, hostess with the mostest, the hostess with the mostest. All right. A few years ago, we were in Jackson, Mississippi on County Line Road at the hotel right there on the top of the hill. There were two people who came that I didn't recall seeing before. There was a man, they tell me his name was SL or Sam or something like that, and then he had this lady with him that they said was his wife, and I believed them because they got up and sang praises to the Lord on that Sunday morning, so I had no reason to doubt who they were. And they did a wonderful job. It seemed that everybody was pleased. As a matter of fact, our speaker that morning was Mickey Merritt. Well, I didn't get to know them very well, but I remembered their faces. Later on in life, I met April, and I had heard SL tell some jokes that would crack your side. He was so funny, so funny. But Nashville, 2 years ago, was a different experience. I met this woman whose name is April. I didn't know that then. April is one of the never wants to abrogate, always activates her teammates to create, coordinate, communicate, that which she herself donates and facilitates. Now she she has lost weight, cut her hair straight, and her heart rate is steadily rising on the end plate. I am so pleased to now introduce to you one that was a cousin, but now she's my cousin friend. In the person of the hostess with the mostest. Give a big round of applause to our hostess, April.
That was really awesome and unexpected. Thank you, Linda. I thought you were just going to introduce me, and I couldn't imagine what that would be. Wow. Welcome. Welcome, welcome to the 18th Logan and Ellen Davis Family Reunion. The Family Reunion Committee is very glad to greet you in Portland, Oregon. Since Nashville, Tennessee in 2016, we've been planning for this opportunity to show you the great Pacific Northwest. From the very first that I came home from Nashville and I told my family we've been on board. Everybody in town knows this is going to happen because everywhere I go I'm talking about it. It's been awesome. And I'm really, really grateful to the planning committee who helped every step of the way in some way. Each one of you gave me encouragement by responding, replying, listening. It was just completely always uplifting. Never a begrudging word. Never a doubtful frown, always encouraging. That makes this really great. It was the most beautiful, fun project I've ever worked on. So I thank you. You all made this happen. We are here. Some of you have come a long way. It's further than we've gone before sometimes, and I really appreciate that you've come out to Oregon. So we are here to welcome you, my family, my brothers and sisters and their spouses and family, friends of the family, anybody who's come along that has helped participate. I just thank you. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. So I just say thank you. So before we continue any further with our program, I invite you to take one silent minute with me in honor and memory of those who are not with us today. Thank you, thank you. Those are the best favorite words I love to say. No matter what. It just covers the bases. Just in case there's something I need to be thankful for, there it is. I'm thankful.
Yes.
I'm thankful to be here. Thank you. The time we spend in Portland is the today of our reunion theme, which is gathering from the past. We meet today and move forward into tomorrow together. We won't always be in unison or harmony, but we can move forward together and we shall sing together, as we have proven. We can sing together. That's a good thing.
Thank you. I'd like those of you who would like to join me to come up here and we'll lead the family and lift every voice and sing. You want to join me? Sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Anyway, it's time to hear what the Lord has to say to us. And then we're going to talk to him. The persons coming forward are Gloria Robinson. She'll tell you which line she's from. but she is from Columbus, Ohio. And following her, coming from California, is Dr. Milton Phillips. Is she in the house still?
Right here.
Okay, all right. They'll come in that order, please.
I want to share with you one of my favorite scriptures, and I share it with teenagers all over wherever I am. And it is 2 Timothy 1:5-7. And I want you to really hear why it's so unique to us. Greatly, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which first dwelt in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, I am persuaded that in thee also. Wherefore I put thee in remembrance. I'm sorry.
Take your time, your own family.
That thou stir up the gift of God, which is in thee by the putting on of my hands. My favorite, and I want all of us to walk out knowing this. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Okay, greetings everyone.
Greetings.
Great. Okay, if I can have the attention of your ears, your heart, and your mind. Just briefly, I want to say what I want to say. Okay.
We want to hear you, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay. So, what I said earlier, if I can have the attention of your heart, your mind, just briefly. Okay, I just want to share a few words with you that may resonate with you. That is my hope. Okay? But I can have the attention of my cousin back there. I don't want to call his name out. He knew I love him all the way from Chicago. That's Aunt Ori's grandson back there, and I know she can listen. Right? Okay. Nothing but love. Okay, if I can have you just for a few seconds. Dear Heavenly Father, we invite you, although we know that you are here present with us. Father, we ask for your love, your support, your guidance, and the care that you have bestowed upon us in the planning of this 18th family reunion that we have called in the past the Logan Davis family reunion, and now I think it's the Logan Ellen family reunion. However, Father, we just ask you to be with us the days that we're here. Father, help us to engage in meaningful conversation. Father, help us to get to know more facts and details about our family so that we can pass them on for generations and generations to come. I think it is rather sad when family members do not know anything about the family before them, the generation before them, and cannot name their grandparents or great-grandparents. According to Christ's word, as it has been recorded in Matthew 18:20, we can be sure of one thing, and that is Christ is with us. He is with us always, and he is for us. And we know, we've heard many times that if Christ is with us, then who can be against us? And if someone is against us, that's okay. When we look around the room, we can feel so much love that we can forget about everything else. And we want to embrace the love while we're here, and for all those that are here, and however we have one member that is her first time. Hopefully she will come back again and tell others about the great love among the Logan Davis family reunion. And hopefully we will just continue to grow in love and care about each other. And let us not say it's not my business how someone is doing, but let's make it our business, but not interfere too much. but just let people know that we do love and care about them. In Jesus' name we pray that we continue to grow. Amen.
Amen. If you are a first-time attendee of the Logan Davis family reunion, first of all, if you were born into the family since you last attended, or if you got married into the family since you last attended, or if you ever attended. And I'm going to invite the Logan Davis Oregonian welcome team to stand along with those new members of the Davis family. Would you stand out and remain standing until such time as fourscore and several years ago, and even today, our fathers are still bringing forth on this continent some new Davises, conceived in the wombs of willing women, and dedicated to the proposition that all of us are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great reunion, testing whether these new Davises are dedicated to long endure. We have come to Portland, Oregon, probably for some the last time, who have shared their lives participating, that you might come to share with the rest of us. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this by inducting you into this great society of the biannual Logan and Ellen Davis family reunion. But, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this reunion. The brave Davises, living and dead, who headed up this reunion, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The children will little note, not long remember, Larry, what we say here. But they can never forget what we did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who gave their energies have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the grave task remaining before us. We take increased devotion to this cause for which they gave their last measure of devotion, and that this family, by the Davises, for the Davises, shall not perish from this earth, but induct these new members that were standing here to the future of the Logan Davis family reunion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposers nay. You are hereby inducted into the Logan Davis family reunion. Not as a Logan Davis, but Logan Davis family reunion. So we'll look to you on the next times and the next times. Dr. Martin Luther King made famous a song that was written by a woman. Okay? But she was black. Made famous also by Mahalia Jackson. We couldn't find anybody to do this solo. Nobody would agree. So I decided I would try to give you one verse of the song. And then I'll get out of your way. If I could help somebody as I travel on, if I can cheer somebody with a word or so, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Now if I could help somebody as I pass along my living, I just want to help somebody. I just want to help somebody. That my living shall not be in vain.
Awesome.
Thank you. As we gather from the past, we celebrate the history that began so long ago. For instance, from Mississippi to Oregon. How did that happen? Well, we have a story. And I present to you our first speaker of the evening, my brother-in-law, Luther Turner Avery. You don't have to stand up, honey, if you don't want to. Just stay right there and be comfortable. Diane's going to hold this for you while you talk. And this is my paper. You got your paper.
You good?
He's going to tell you about his story, how he came to Portland, Oregon in 1943 to work in the Kaiser shipyards. So, Brother Luther, it is your turn.
I was at the call it the employment office or unemployment office. Anyway, there were 3 or 4 people there recruiting people to come to Portland, Oregon, Kalamazoo, Michigan, some kind of what they're doing, they're talking about Bomb in Tennessee, people from Tennessee, somebody knows what I'm trying to say. Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I could have gone to all of those places, and even Gulfport, Mississippi to work in the shipyards or whatever. But anyway, there was a man there from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and one from Portland, Oregon. Well, I knew where Kalamazoo, Michigan was, but to be honest, I never heard of Portland, Oregon. So, anyway, I asked the agent where it was. He showed it to me on the map. Well, Kalamazoo wasn't very far from Mississippi and Colorado, but Portland was way over here. And I decided that I wanted to get away from Mississippi, so I chose Portland, Oregon. Okay. Kaiser gave me a ticket from the train, and gave me a meal ticket, and a place to stay when I got to Portland, and a job. Now, how could you turn that down? No kidding, I needed a job. So that's how I arrived in Portland. And I went to Oregon. There was thousands of people that came to work in the shipyard. And there were so many trains, for Portland, from Portland to Mississippi. There were troop trains, there were tanks, and there were passenger trains, and the long trains. That's everywhere you looked, there were trains. I don't know how they travel really, because I running into each other, but they had it down right. So another thing too, that was a beautiful ride. I had never ridden the train before. And when we got to Memphis, I'd never seen as much water as I saw the Mississippi River. And I was really afraid that if this thing breaks down, we're going to get drowned. but that didn't happen. But it was a beautiful ride to Oregon. I saw mountain goats, and then I saw jackrabbits. We had rabbits in Mississippi, those little guys, little cottontail guys, but these long-eared jackrabbits, I never saw him before. I had to ask somebody what that was. You know, they told me so. Well, anyway, when we got to Portland, Kaiser has 3 shipyards in this area, 2 in Portland and 1 in Vancouver. And they took me to Swan Island. People in Portland know what Swan Island is. Well, I went to work there. And there was a problem there. I didn't work there very long. I got tanned. What it was, they had me working at night. And I just left the farm in Mississippi. We didn't work at night, we slept. But that's the truth. So I'm working at night, so I fall asleep. Right. And I fell asleep 2 or 3 different times, so they laid me off. But all I did was go across the Columbia River and got a better job in another Kaiser shipyard. And after that, and then, I'm about to miss something here. I'm going to tell how I met my first wife. Well, a friend of mine asked me if I would go to the train station with him to meet his wife and family. So I agreed. So this beautiful lady just offered a train, and I left my friend and went to help her with her luggage. She had been recruited from New York City. She was a welder on Staten Island. She only left New York because she just got tired of the big city and wanted to get to a smaller city, so she came to Portland. But anyway, I helped her get on the bus, and the bus took off, and bye. Well, I thought there are 3 shipyards. I had no idea where she was going to work or where she was going to live. So about 3 or 4 days later, I was walking to work one night. I heard footsteps behind me. I knew it was a woman. I have a sense of no footsteps or the Well, anyway, I looked around and it was her. And we walked together that night, but I come to find out she lived in the same unit, not the same unit, but the same housing project. Kaiser built a whole lot of housing projects here during wartime for his 100,000 workers. So anyway, she only lived about 2 blocks from me. So we walked to work together, and that relationship lasted, well, quite a few years. But, another thing about the weather here in Portland, you get the idea, or you hear that it rains a lot. What it does, well, It does my brain hard. People here, if they're going to have something to do, they pay no attention to the wet weather. If they did, they wouldn't get much done. But it rains much more in other parts of the state. Like in July, August, and September, it probably won't rain a drop. But in November, it will start and you won't hardly see the sun till next spring. Well, that's true. Am I right where you are going in?
Yes.
Yeah, but in the summer, we have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weather. I've enjoyed living here, and it's much better than living in the hot sun in Mississippi and the tornadoes. You know, you can go to bed at night and you're safe. You know, you're going to get a good night's sleep, and you're not going to get blown away. But in Mississippi, when I go back to Mississippi, I'm not kidding you. I'm afraid to go to bed at night. You know, tornadoes and wind blowing, you read about it. We don't have that here. If we get very little snow, because we're never ready for it. If you want to have me stop, I can get one of them.
I know you are.
Well, they introduced my family. And one of my granddaughters, DJ Melson. And this is my youngest daughter, Diane. Is that all?
No, yes, that is right there.
Over here, it's right there. Yeah, that's
Oh, my youngest son, Mike, I don't know you, he got a shot like that. Yeah, but there's my niece sitting right there beside Michael, Miss Holly. And beside her, there was hand up there, that's my nephew. Cheryl Holly. He's you don't know what he does for a living, he's a musician. And a good one too. Well,
Say goodnight. Say goodnight, Gracie.
welcome to Portland, folks. Wait up on the tape. I've lived in Portland for 75 years. I came here when I was 20 years old, and next month I'll be 96.
There's his story of coming to Portland and living in Vanport in your packet. Or if it's not in your packet, it's on the table in the booklet. Or if it's not there, it's someplace else. But he's got lots of stories. He's got lots of stories. And now I want to bring Lydia forth to introduce our next speaker. Lydia Mosley Couch, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Lydia Couch. Thank you, Luther Avery, for sharing coming to Portland with us. I would like to introduce Flossie. She's our icon, beautiful icon, and she will share with us gatherings from the past. Good evening, Davis.
Yeah, all right.
Being here. First of all, I'd like to give praises and thanks to Almighty God. Because truly, He is the giver and the sustainer of life, and the source from which cometh all of our help. Then again, I'd like to thank April and the people that worked with her. Thank her again because of her tireless effort in hosting this great family reunion.
All right.
We hold it here in our hearts every 2 years. In every 2 years, we've had great hostess that tirelessly worked to make this reunion a success. Amen. Now, I would like to And would like to have all of you give a round of applause to Percy Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the song. He was the historian of the Davis family reunion. He worked tirelessly with a few other people, names like Alice Dowd, Alice Pollard, Livonia Holly, Onita Bell, and of course they got together. Now I might have let someone off, I'm not sure, but those are the ones I remember. But now we have to remember that life has changes, and these people are no longer with us. They're going to be with the Lord. So, but we still owe them a debt of gratitude. They met together. I believe it was in the year of this was in the year of 1994. They met together in St. Louis, Missouri. They started in 1964. 1984. They met together in St. Louis, Missouri. And of course, Percy went back as far as he could to find out the beginning of this family.
You can't leave without us.
And he went back to Mary Davis. And Mary Davis lived in the household of a slaveholder. And he was of the Welsh descent. And of course she took on the name Davis because he was a Davis. Now, there were their first son, Logan Davis. Wait a minute, let me get it wrong. Logan Davis was married to Ellen, and I think she spelled her name E-L-L-E-N. And in that, to that union, 9 children were born. Now the first son born, Ellen and Logan, was Nelson. Now there were 9 others. And I won't take time to go into the names of all of the others because they had told me they didn't want us to speak too long because I'm sure we're hungry and we don't want to draw you out and let it be so lasting. We want you to enjoy the food. But before we leave this weekend, if there's any questions that you'd like to ask about the family, you can see some of the older ones of us that might explain to you where you might fit in. Now, we have the historian's son here. And I'm looking at him because I know he knows the story. Bill, what you say? Bill Davis hosted the family reunion 2 years ago in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes.
And he had a wonderful reunion. He had so much good stuff about the family. And I have it, of course, at home. I didn't bring it with me because I didn't want to prolong this talk, little talk that I'm going to do too long. They told me to speak short. So anyway, we didn't start it. Those persons that I named started the reunion. They thought they would meet every 2 years. And I have the names of the places that we have been. Now, we not only meet, greet, and learn about family, but we also learn of the city to which we go and attend. Now, some of the places that we have been, I'll try to name them to you, if I can find them here. Well, we've been to Jackson, Mississippi, St. Louis, Missouri, Seattle, Washington, North Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago, Illinois, Rhode Island, Atlanta, Georgia, Anaheim, California, Nashville, Tennessee. Here we are today.
And don't get Miami Beach. Miami Beach.
And here we are in Portland, Oregon. To come here, I've never been to Portland, Oregon, but I have a story to tell when I go home. All right. But now I'd like to say thank you again for coming and spread the word to some of the others that are family members. So sometimes we don't realize how important it is for us to go back to places where some of our relatives live and how we got where we are. Now, I was thinking about a little poem that I wrote, and it goes something like this. Our family, I said. Our family is like a lovely book that takes us. And our children are the leaves.
Hello.
I can't see it. Let's start over. Our family are the government. Our children are the leaders. The parents give that covered look. They protect us, if you please. At first, the pages of the book were bare and blank until you and I are killed there. See, God sits in judgment of our book. He reads what's written there. Proudly and carefully, he prepared. It's important. Let's always love, teach, and protect our young. Let them know where their generation is from. Keep writing this book till we're all right here. No matter what the cost. If not, some of those pages just might get lost. This book has no end to the story. But remember, while writing, always give God the glory.
Amen.
We are so blessed. Hallelujah. So blessed. Every single one of us. And if you haven't already, turn to somebody you don't know and say hello. We need to get to know everybody. Everybody knows everybody.
Thank you, Father. Thanks for letting us know where we've been. Thank you for the beautiful poem that you share with us. And like it says, Sankofa, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you're coming from.
Say it again.
Sankofa. So now we are going to introduce Marvin Llewellyn, who will give us a roadmap for tomorrow as a unity, umoja, and united together. Would you like to come and share with us?
You probably can hear me in my voice, but I will get the mic just to add to it. I have the great fortune of speaking, not to family though, so this is humbling, especially that I'm following. They mentioned that I'm following some great folks, but it's a little different when you're actually sitting there and actually listening to the stories. And so I'm honored. I'm thankful to the committee. I'm thankful for April. We've had a lot of different chats. Just so everyone knows where I fit into the puzzle. So we kind of will do that. I have a little tag here. I'm tied to Perry. So Perry would be the youngest of the kids. And then Perry had, make sure I get it right, Perry had a daughter, one of his daughters was Ruby. So Ruby Davis. And then Ruby married Henry Williams. So then Henry Williams and Ruby had Mamie Williams. And that is my mother. Mamie Williams married Carl Llewellyn. And then Carl and Mamie had their favorite son. Now, I will tell you, I am the only son, so as I tell my sisters, I have 3 sisters, and they mentioned Mickey, speaking of Mickey's my brother-in-law, married to my older sister Carol in St. Louis. But, I always say the concept of all of my sisters that I am their favorite brother. It works out pretty well for me. I wanted just to, I'm mindful of food. I speak different times in different situations. I travel a lot, and I wanted to have something in front of me to keep me kind of tight. And with food kind of pending, I'll skip through some things. So if I pause for a second, I just want to make sure I touch on these areas. Everyone can hear me fine?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So I am a pastor's son. So Carl Llewellyn, for those who don't know, is a pastor for almost 50 years. He's retired now. He had a stroke a few years ago. He's doing fine, saw him last week. And then my mother was a teacher. So a blending of pastoring, blending of teaching, you're going to hear my voice pretty well. So just so you know there. Framework though, when I first started into business, I'm an investment manager. I'm actually head of global client management for an investment management firm out of Atlanta. That's where I live. So I travel all over the place. And one of the things when I first got into the business, I went to a Bible study kind of day night work, and they mentioned the 5 F's. Does that mean anything to anyone? Has anyone heard the 5 F's? And the 5 F's essentially was faith, and then family, and then friends, and then fitness, and then finance. And since we do have a little level of religious flavor here in terms of as I speak, that order matters in terms of understanding your faith, your family, friends, fitness, and finance. Unfortunately, a lot of times we get screwed up, I'll say it that way. And the terminology here is, when we were in our studies, was that it's so important for you to have this order because it's so easy to get caught up into the finance and lose sight of the friends and family and definitely faith. And in today's society, with all the technology, with all the different things that are going on, people skip over faith because we're kind of that neat generation and taking care of ourselves, and the technology is driving so many things and losing some of the interpersonality or interpersonal skills that so many of our young people, or maybe all we through, have today. But just for a little bit, I just wanted to highlight for a short time the family side of that 5 F's. The root of who we are, focus on the importance of family, and why do we have reunions? Why does it matter? And so I was listening one time to T.D. Jakes on one of his messages, and he talked about, so often we take for granted the one thing that we really had no control over. And we had no control of who our parents were. We had no control, of that. We came into this earth. Now, some people came into this earth and were in some messed up situations that have progressed and have conquered that sort of setup. But some of us came into some pretty good situations. And sometimes we might take the fact that we kind of did it by our own straps, we kind of made it happen on our own. But if you kind of truly honest to yourself, the love, the nurturing, the development, the things that you get that have kind of carried on, you might not be exactly what you came from, but you can never lose sight of the fact of those parameters that they put around you. And thanks be to God that you do have some parameters. For those that do not have parameters, we see some of the fallout of that. And so when we think about this sort of, how you're educated, how you were raised, many of us went to church a lot. I was in church a whole lot. Some of us were, maybe spent a lot of time with our grandparents. Maybe some of us spent a lot of time in different ways. But this whole concept of your family is really not something that you truly had anything to do with. And that's something that is always a powerful thing. On the flip side of that statement, knowing who your family is can say a whole lot about who you are. I never understood this much. I've been married for almost 30 years, and it'll be 30 in a few months. And you hear parents and older ones talk about sort of that connection, who you're married into the family, and you sort of have this mindset that maybe, yeah, okay, whatever, she looks good or he looks good, I like all that. But you realize as the years turn, it does matter. It matters a lot who that family member and what they came from. It does kind of matter who the mom or dad might be in your style. And all of a sudden when you see that guy do some of the things that he does, or the lady does some of the things they do, I always tell my kids when they go visit my parents, they say they're there for about a half a day, and one of the first statements they always make is, man, you're just like your father. It's like, he says the same things you said. I said, well, I guess he was wise at it, and so they always get a good kick out of that. I wanted to just kind of, just because of my mindful time, just touch on this issue, why does it matter? Information is powerful. To know who you came from is power. The good and yes, even the bad. We need to share the stories, and we have a story that sometimes is not wanting to be told. There's some situations in a lot of lives that weren't always so positive. But it's important for people to understand where they came from. A lot of verbal history is a part of our background, and we need to definitely transition that to a written and digital history. It's important for each of us to spend just a little bit of time, I said once a year here, but really we should spend a little more than that, just to collect, share, enrich, and talk with your younger generations. They need to hear the stories. Will everyone care? No. Will they care at that point in time? Probably not. But some will. And we need to build those stories, and we need to connect the lines. I unfortunately, when I'm in the car with my wife, I hear the Hamilton musical. She loves musicals. So I listen to the story, I hear the story, I hear the whole Hamilton, and we had a chance to go to it a couple weeks ago. And one of the stories there is we have no control over who lives, we have no control over who dies, and we have no control over who tells our story. And it's so important for us to create somewhat of we'll call it a storybook, so that when people do tell our story, hopefully they can be somewhat close to it. Because the reality is, I'm not so sure we all can appreciate this, but it won't be too long when we're going to have a whole other generation that'll be here. And what they will be talking about is us and the past. And that's the case for all of us. As the pastors will say, I don't know anyone who's missed that point. I think it's 100% in the going, right, in terms of what happens with life. So we need to be very mindful of who tells our story, and if we can develop ways to enrich ourselves so therefore the story is told with some clarity. What is that family called Davis? Who was those 9 kids? When did different ones pass away? What strengths did they have? What they didn't have? Link yourself up. Use tools. Today there's so many tools. I'm grateful, even after the Nashville, this is a little side story. This young lady sent a note to me and said, Marvin, why were you at the Logan Davis reunion? I said, well, that's my family. I'm a Davis. I got a few other names, but I'm a Davis. And she said, well, this policeman in Chicago used to always talk to my dad about us coming to a reunion, and this was a reunion. Because first thought, I think she thought maybe it was my wife's family. That was probably her thought. And I said, no, that's my family from mother's line. And she said, well, we were family all these years. And the scary part about it is, she looked pretty good at first. And then we were about a year apart, and she played basketball and sports at Evanston, which is where I grew up. And her brother was a big fan of my older sister. And so family was there, but we didn't even realize it. And so the links, all of a sudden, it would have been an interesting wedding had all that came together. Pictures now can be shared. Pride needs to be instilled in our young people. The more you're connected, the more pride you tend to have. There's nothing proud about the connections with your past. Legacy building is essential, education and training is important. Nelson Mandela stated numerous times this comment, what I do know is that education is an essential element to life, so information, to a free community, to a free society. Education, information, is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I'm going to just try to take that a little bit and say in terms of family knowledge is a powerful thing. And it's something that we should instill down the line. He also stated the power of education extends beyond the development of skills we need for economic success. It can contribute to nation building and reconciliation. So it's important when we educate and train our young people. And I should say I'm very thankful that I'm kind of championing the young audience. Yeah. I appreciate that. Since I'm in my mid-50s, I appreciate that. I love that. I'll take that. I'll take it as long as I can get it. Financial literacy and advocacy. Connectivity is important. The last little bit, since I am mindful of the dinner, bring my wife into the picture here at Hamilton again. History has its eyes on you, is one of the lines that's in play. And I say that to say I'm challenging all of us. The more history you have, more knowledge you have, but there will become a day and time when your story is going to be told. And history has an eyes on you now, even though you don't realize it. So what you do, what you're able to accomplish, what you're able to share. So those are the things that hopefully as we connect to tomorrow, is that we're very mindful of what we're doing today. Instill some things to your young people, instill sort of that love for family. That was something that was always important to my family. I was raised that way. And so I am extremely glad to be here. I am so happy to see different ones along the family that I've known through the years. God is good, and He's good all the time. And it's so important for us never to lose sight that family matters.
Next thing to happen is the blessing of the food, because as you can see, we are preparing to start our salad and Jeffrey Smith.
Ellen Davis, because of my grandmother, her name was Ori. Ori was, I was told that Ori was Nelson's third child. So I'm here. Ori had 4 boys of her own. My dad was the third of her 4 boys. I'm my dad's third child. Into that. Bless this food, oh Father. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you for bringing this family together once again for this reunion. We thank you for allowing us to be chosen by you to be a favorite of yours. And we would ask that you continue to bless this family, make it prosper. Make it prosper, Lord, and make this food give us nourishment. Nourish our bodies and allow us to enjoy each other as the food enters us. Amen.
Amen.